All right. So good evening, everyone. Good evening, Karina. I think people forgot about that we are already back here in the meeting. So have more people here than here. But anyways, in the material world, we are few, but in the spiritual, we always surrounded by our friends and mentors and the workers of PESC as well. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Does Life Really Ends? About reincarnation. But before that, we're going to have Alex that will do our initial prayer, please. Um, are you guys seeing my screen? No. Are you seeing my screen? Did I share?
No.
No, I don't.
Only you, not the.
The presentation or my PowerPoint?
Now we see.
Okay, cool. Sorry for that. Great. All right, so Alex is gonna do our initial prayer, and then we go with our talk tonight. Can you do our initial prayer? Yes, please.
Let's close our eyes. Take a deep breath. Relax. Start to connect with our mentors, with God. Dear Father, thank you for another opportunity of being here, of studying, of learning. Thank you for the opportunity to be alive, of being healthy, and the opportunity to live in this beautiful world. I'd like to thank the custodians of this land that came before us, that mold this Australian nation for us to live today. And thank you, God, for another wonderful night. May our presenter be blessed with thoughts and words for us all, and that we have a good evening. So be it.
So be it. Well, I planned this night so we can have a bit more of a chat. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions and ask you a few questions as well. So I hope you guys can answer. I'm not gonna be the only one talking tonight, all right? So I received this topic and with this question about does life really end? And I want you to hold that thought to answer that question that we're gonna get there. And before we jump in, I have another question for you. So if the life really ends, do you think it would be for God to create us to have only this life that we're living here, and after that we go to the judgment day and then be for the eternity on heaven or hell? Hold that thought as well. So I'm just going to building up a few questions here tonight. All right. So does life really end? And if it does, would us like this only life here have the judgment and live on the eternity, hell or heaven? Keep holding on. We're gonna be the time for you to answer that. All right. Another question. Before we think about God, because it's something too big, too dense, you know, for us to try to grasp the totality and the true about God and what God would do with those questions. Let's bring this scenario for something more simple. All right. Oops. Oops. Okay. So if you're a parent, or let's imagine for those that are childless like me, or, you know, if you, but we always live in a family and with family members. So if you have a child or someone that you live with, and that, let's just think of maybe a child of 2 or 3 year old. It does make a mistake, Let's just say it's holding a glass of water and drop that glass of water. Are you going to judge that child for that mistake for the rest of his life? And when that child might be 15, 20, 30 years old, you're going to keep look at that child and say, you broke that glass of water that I told you to hold. Would you do that? Now you can answer. No. No. What are we going to look at? A child as a child is. A 2, 3 years old. Hello, come in. Student time, we just started. So good. So we're probably going to look at that child, 2, 3 years old, that is still learning to walk properly, is still learning, hold the glass, holding plates, and, still getting her balance on her body. And as a child is at 3 years old, that is still learning, that probably dropped because he's still not so sure of his body balance. And then you're probably not going to shout at that child, and I hope not. But you're probably going to look at that child with compassion and say, look, just be careful, this glass, look at the mess on the floor. You could get hurt, you could cut yourself. So maybe next time you hold a glass with your hands, hold with both of your hands. Or maybe if you realize that child is not ready for hold a glass as it is, you're probably going to give you a plastic cup, so you're always going to find ways to teach that child a lesson as it is, like pay attention, be careful, you could get hurt, look those sharp pieces on the floor. If the child is a bit older, you're probably going to show the child how to clean up the mess, so we're always going to use some teach the child lessons so they could learn how to hold a glass of water, right? So, and that's one child. But if you have 2 childs, you're going to judge the child that broke that glass of water on the bad way for the rest of his life instead of the other child that never broke a glass of water. Would you love that child differently because one keep breaking glasses of and the other no? You probably not. You're probably going to have a bit more trouble to try to teach that little child to hold the cup of the glass of water. You're probably going to have other troubles to teach the lesson. Look, this costs money. Pay attention, but you're never going to judge your children differently because one keep breaking glasses and the other not. You're probably going to have a bit more trouble with one than another, but I bet you're always going to love them equally. So if us, as human beings, with all our flaws and all the things that we carry on, as we know, our shadows, and all the troubles that our daily lives, if we are able to do that toward our children, why do you think God wouldn't do the same for us? Do you think that God would look at us as children with 2, 3 years old, learning here on earth, learning how to love without judgment, learning how to forgive, and when we not that great on that yet, do you think God would judge us for the eternity? Or he's going to look at us as we look at children at 2 or 3 years old that just simply break a glass? Do you think us, if we are able to do that towards the kids, wouldn't God do that towards us? On his infinite love, compassion? I think he would. He wouldn't judge us on the bad way as we wouldn't do toward children. He's going to look at us and see us as we are, his children, that is still walking on this progress, is still learning the way, is still learning to love without judgment, is still learning to forgive, is still learning how to live with compassion, with empathy, and all the things that we are looking, our self-reform, children that is still learning to look inside ourselves and figure out who we are, what we want, what we could do, what we could achieve. I think it's the same way as we could look at children. When we look at children like 2 or 3 year olds and say, look, the potential that children have, that kid have. Maybe he breaks some glasses on the way. Maybe he steps in someone's foot, but he's gonna grow, he's gonna learn, he's gonna progress, go to school, go to uni, gonna work, and gonna make a difference on the society. And I deeply think that God look at us on the same way. At just small children that is on the way on this journey to learn and to progress. And take another question on this, on the same, on this, following this thought. Do you think if someone dies, as simple as us here humans, at age of 8 years old, and someone dies at age of 80 years old, can you explain reasonably, if you look inside of yourselves, use your reason to think why God would allow that if it's not after? If life does not go on? If you look inside of yourselves and use your reason, even if you're not religions, most of you guys are, because I know all of you, but not sure who's gonna watch this later. Can you find in your reason, not only your faith, but to God, that it's have his infinity mercy, love, compassion towards his whole creation would allow, if we have just one life, to someone to die at age of 2, 3 years old, and someone die like 90, 80 years old? Do you think God would allow that? Or even worse, how we could see justice on that if the life just ends when you die and you just live few years, or you live like a bunch of years? How we could see justice in God if the life really does end after this? I don't think if you look even deep inside of you, find one simple line that God would allow that if we didn't have, if the life does just end after that. What do you think? Would you agree with that? Yes, no? There's no right or wrong. It's just like more like a conversation. Because I like to bring this, because this brings me to reflection, even though I have my convictions and things that I believe. You know, when I was preparing this, is those questions that already make me question again, you know, when sometimes I complain about few things in my life and I say, and then those little questions when I was preparing this make me really reflect again on the love of God for us, that how justice he is, that everything is perfect at the way he made us. So God would never be unfair to his creation, as you guys would never be unfair to your creation, your children. You know, even though sometimes on the eyes of children, look, you're being like a, what's the word? Like a bad parent, you know, you're so unfair, you putting me on time out because I did this or I did that. Because as children, many times they can't understand why they are being, you know, punished on a way because they did something wrong, you know, because they need to learn a lesson, like how not to keep breaking glasses, or not to treat someone with respect, you know. So the same way, many times you punish your children because you love them so much and you wanted them to learn how to be a proper human with good manners, be respectful, you know, not keep breaking things, follow the law, be useful in society. And for that, many times you need to punish. And I'm not talking about smack the kid, but really, you know, sit down. Many times parents take away devices, or, you know, dessert, or things like that. You as parents, you have your role and you have your way to educate your children. And it's the same way with God with us. He have ways to educate us. And many times when we make mistakes, we are just need to kind of make it up, right? So it's the same way with God.
But you have a lot more experience than us.
Beg your pardon?
And you have a lot
Oh
more
yeah,
experience than us.
God is way more experienced than us to educate ourselves. And I believe he's way more patient towards us than we are towards the children that we try to educate it. How about you guys and over there? Do you guys have any comments till now? No? All right. G?
I just, no, I agree.
I will try to, because we don't have the speaker here.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I just have a point about punishment, but probably I'm not gonna do it now. Just the
Sure. Yeah, when I say the word
Okay.
punish, it's not like on the bad way, you know, it's like the amend the things. Like kids, when I say the word punish, is just try, maybe it's not the best word, but like if a kid does something wrong, like just say is rude towards someone, you just say, look, you can do that. You're gonna talk with that kid. And if they perceive on that behavior, you probably start to punish that kid. Look, you need to behave, I need you to understand. And no, maybe put some time out to think about what they did. Some, as I said, some parents say, look, you misbehaved today at dinner, so you're not gonna deserve. I don't know, it's just simple ways that sometimes many parents use to educate children. And every family have their own way to educate their children. So that's the way, that's the meaning of the word punishment that I put here. Maybe if you can guys help me with another better English word.
That's all right. At the end of the lecture, if you haven't got there, then I will make a question myself.
Okay, no.
Okay.
I think the word you need to use is consequences.
Consequence.
There are consequences for every action.
Yeah, and as I said, as a child, may you look at your father and mom as a punishment because he took my device because I misbehaved, like you're the punisher. But because we are simple and ignorant, so maybe sometimes we look at God and say, he's punishing me, but is in a way it's consequences of our acts. And you're right. Thanks, Colleen, for that word. Thank you. I'll try to use that.
In this context, I would say just educating the child. Yeah.
All right. Let's use consequence and educate. Will be better than punishment. Thanks. So after we discuss those questions, and I ask you guys to look inside of yourself and see with reason why would God act like that, and that is because life does go on. We are different here. We're all here. Think as a game, in a simple way. All right. I'm not gonna try to measure with God, but as a game on a simple way. You start a game with no experience, and you have to go through levels. And more you play, more experience you gain, more things you achieve, more skins. As game you have skins and different clothes, different accessories to play until you get on the top. So, but we're all different on this game. Maybe I play on a way and maybe get wrong paths on that game. Maybe Alex is a bit get the hang of the game and see the secrets of the game, a new path that's gonna make he go better skins, better accessories. So because we are all different and we play this game different because it's how God creates us. Oh my God, my computer, sorry. And that is the beauty of it. It's just as we are talking about, we are all different. We were born on different cultures, different color skin, different religions, different, you name it, So how could God be unfair to his creation? Because we have the whole diversity over there, a whole different ways to play that game. God never would be unfair with us. He wants us to progress, to learn, and to keep playing this game on the best way as you can. And he always promised to be beside us, because life does go on. Those kind of bodies that maybe we are using right now, you know, just this globe here, this skin that we're using on this life here, is a way to play, is one level of that game. Maybe on the next life, you're going to be one of those here on the screen. Experience a different level, a different culture, learning something different. And once we die or disincarnate is when our real life started. These are just levels of the game, but our real life is on the spiritual world with our father, with our mother, with the energy. You name God the way that you want to name. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the way you connect with him. But right now, when we disincarnated, it's when our real life begins, is when we are living for real, because we are spiritual beings, eternal, part of God's creation. And here, here on this material world, is just the experience that we have. And I truly believe reincarnation is one of the most great acts of love from God, because allow us to experience many things on a different ways. How you could ask someone who disincarnate at age of 10 years old to achieve what the true love is, the forgiveness, or, you know, to try to do good towards someone, how that little child would have the same like earth time, all right, to achieve that from someone that age of 80? That we couldn't see justice on that. So reincarnation, it's a precious gift from God for us. Yes.
It's just one point in here. Just unless that little child, that life was just what was lacked, or just what was needed to complete.
Yeah,
no. So it could be that that would be enough, and that lessons that would be in the 10 years would be enough for complete this child, not be even necessary to incarnate in this planet anymore.
I think Daya was getting there.
Yeah. Sorry, now what did you say? Like, unless that child of 10 years old was the only time that need to, you know, complete whatever that children need here on earth. And I agree with that. But where I want to get to the example is, let's just say if you were born in an Indian in Brazil, you're going to experience things that someone that was born in India wouldn't. It's different opportunities, different culture, and things that you're going to learn over that. And you're going to have your time that you need to acquire the experience and the learnings that you need to put on that time on that community. And maybe on the next life, you come as a 10 years old to finish that training someone else to learning something different. So that's the beauty of reincarnation. You know, it's different every time. And every time we come back here on a different skin, on a different material body, we're going to experience something different. Maybe for 10 years, maybe for 100. It doesn't mean that 10 years you're better or 100 you're worse because you take that long to learn. It's just different, you know? And that is the beauty of God, that he allowed us to experience that in different ways. Maybe we already been all of those pictures in here, and maybe on the next life, something different that we even not know. And that is the beauty of it.
Nice.
Yes?
Just one thing I'd like to complete that in spite of the opportunities we can come in a different time, obviously we're going to come in a different time for the world evolution. We never get a new life according to what is being written, what's being learned from the Spiritism. We never come randomically. It's never a randomic experience. Usually you come back with the same, with very close people or very close situations you were before, because it's a continuation. It's like, again, given the action and reaction, as Corinne was saying, right?
Yeah.
So you need to complete. So it's a cycle. It's never randomic. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I'm just giving like the general idea of reincarnating on different cultures and learn that. And that is true. What Jackson just said, if you guys weren't able to hear it, is that when we disincarnate and come back, usually most of the time, until you complete that cycle with the spirits that you are born to, you come back maybe on the same family, or somehow your lives, cross here on earth. But and I'm sorry if that wasn't clear, but what I'm just trying to bring here before we get into the questions about reincarnations is that because we are eternal, so we may be able to experience different cultures, be in Africa, be in Brazil, be in Australia, and life goes on. Of course, you're gonna know people here, bond with them, maybe come back together, finish whatever you have to finish, or develop whatever you have to develop, and then maybe it's important for you to be born somewhere else, to help someone else, and so on. So it's more about the generic idea of this game, on a very simple way to put it, that we achieve levels, know people, and keep walking on different levels and more things to achieve, progress, learn, and share. All right? And talk about that, about spirits. On the spirits book, the question, so what is a spirit? That we are just talking here, that goes and come back, goes and come back. But what is a spirit? So the spirit says to us that a spirit may be defined as the intelligent beings of creation. Us. They constitute the population of the universe, in contradistinctions to the forms of the material world. So we are made to populate the universe. Right now, we are located here on Earth and experience things that we need here until the time comes, as our plan. Once we incarnate, disincarnate, and maybe you can go up to level and go to Jupiter, go to another star on the solar system, or maybe go to another part of the universe. Because as infinite as it is, we were made to populate the universe. So on this little game, we start at some point at simple and ignorance, gain experience, living different lives in the material world, and then progress, and then go up on level. And right now we are here on Earth. That's our game. Earth, welcome. All right. And then on the next question of the spirits book is, what's the aim of incarnation of these spirits? Maybe these spirits, maybe no. The spirit's gonna answer that in a more beautiful way than I could do, because for me, as I put on a simple way, it's just like a little game, with all the complexity that is on incarnation, reincarnation. But it's a game that we start simple and keep gaining and progressing. But these spirits answer that as is a necessity imposed on them by God, as the means of attaining perfection. For some of them, it is an expiation. For others, a mission. In order to attain perfection, it is necessary for them to undergo all the vicissitudes of corporeal existence. Why? Because when we are on the spiritual world is where our real life is, because we are spirits and immortal. And when we are over there is when we learn, we see the things that we did, as it's a bit more complex on the way that it's not that you just pass and all your past lives come in front of you. It all depends of, if that's going to be important to you or not. So I'm not going there, but in a simple way is you learn, you see the things that you did wrong or maybe you didn't achieve. And then when we are in the material world is when we put those things in practice, because on the material world is as we practice what we learn over there. So in the experience acquired by expiation that constitutes its usefulness. Incarnation has also another aim, this, that of fitting the spirit to perform his share on the work of creation, because we are co-workers of the creation. God creates all, but we are all co-workers on his creation, as a little ant is, as a tree is. We are all part of creation and we all play a role in here. Of word creation, for which purpose he is made to assume a corporal apparatus in harmony with the material state of which world into which he is sent. So here on earth, we're just like here, humans. Maybe in Jupiter, we will have a different material body, maybe different as we think, but it's different. And by the means of which he is unable to accomplish this special work in connection with that word which has been appointed to him by the divine ordering. He is thus made to contribute his quota towards the general well while achieving his own advancement. So we are not created to be alone and achieve that by ourselves. We are created to be here, do our work, but also help others. And we don't need to be, of course, it's beautiful. You can do some voluntary work, come to the center, be a worker here on the center, whatever you think. But the main thing of that is starting in our family. The people that we incarnate with is the most important people on this incarnation, that we have to develop that work, that we need to develop that love, that we need to help each other. So that's our first and prior work. It starts in our family. So those that you are surrounded and those that you gain on the way, those apparatus as your friends that you get on your way, those trouble friends that you try. Oh, damn, I gave so many advice for them and he never listened, but you keep there helping that friend. So that's our work in here, to live in community, to help, first of all, in our family, and then the other that we just gonna knowing on the way. The action of corporeal beings is necessary to carry on the work of the universe. But God, on his wisdom, has willed that this action should furnish them with the means of progress and of advancement toward himself. And thus, through an admirable law of his providence, all things are linked together and solidarity is established between all the realms of nature. So it's just that we talk here. We are all connected. It doesn't matter what you're doing right now. We are all connected. And everything that we do, it's gonna have an action on other people's life. So that's the aim of incarnating. So we could experience that. Have the experience to come to this life with this family and learn whatever we need to learn and help them as they help us to progress. On the not incarnation, you're probably going to have same members of your family, or maybe if you guys did whatever you did, maybe you were going to be allocating another part of the world, or maybe not even another incarnation. Like, for example, us here. I was born in Brazil, but now I've dedicated my life here in Australia, in another part of the country. And now I'm in touch with other people that I never imagined that I would be. I have Australian friends that I would never imagine that I would have. I'm even speaking English with many mistakes, but I'm speaking English. Things that I would never think that I would be able to on my simple life as just a simple child in Brazil on a very little city. So look how beautiful is life. Just in one life, how many things we could achieve through work, through those games of level that you aim something. Oh, I want to go to Australia to start learn English, travel to and do things. And you can achieve that in one life. Can you imagine as immortal spirits what we could achieve? Many places we could live and experience that we would have. How many people we help, but how many people help us to be as we are today. Isn't that beauty? A beautiful thing, a beautiful present from God that we could have go through all those experiences to gain that knowledge. I think it's amazing. It's really amazing. So, as I said, I truly believe that is a great act of love from God towards us, that we could experience that. Anyone would like to comment anything to now? No? It's a bit confused, so it's okay what I'm trying to. It's okay. So, yeah, but this word reincarnation, as we know it, it's a very modern word. It was created by Kardec like 150, 60 years ago, the word reincarnation. But the idea of reincarnation, it way back, like even the Hebrews believe in reincarnation. And even Jesus confirmed that for us, you know. And you have many passages in the Bible that you could see that, not with the word reincarnation, but passages of talking about our immortal spirits born again. And I bring one for you guys so we could read and have a think about it, because even the guy, the model, Jesus, told us that. And that conversation happened when Nicodemus went to have a chat with Jesus. And I'm just going to read a little bit of this. Is on John chapter 3, 1 to 16. And it's a bit more long, so you can read after that if you want. And Nicodemus went to Jesus and asked him, Rabbi, and if you are Jewish, you know the word Rabbi, I think it would be Rabbi, is like is like we would say priest. So Nicodemus was a man of the letters, as used on that time. You know, he was the man that know all the laws of the Hebrew people. So he was considering himself like a priest of the time, to hold the culture and all the teachings of that population, you know. So he was kind of a big priest, but he went to Jesus and called him Rabbi. So is that a great honor? So it's the same thing that you get to like your teacher and say teacher. So you put yourself on the condition of a student, you know, when you say someone is your teacher. So if as a Jewish, if you call someone as a rabbi, you put yourself on that stage as a student, and you know that person is not superior of you on that way, you know, but is someone that is that and know more than you, and you pay your respect to that because that person has something to teach you. So that's what the word Rabbi means. As we go to a priest on a church, we put ourselves as someone that is there to listen to that priest that is study and have something to tell us. So just to give you a context. So Nicodemus looked at Jesus, that was a prisoner, you know, and call him Rabbi. We know you are the teacher who has come from God. For no one could perform the signs that you're doing of God were not with him. So what would be the signs of God? You know, we all know the signs of God because we all have the signs of God inside of us. Just many times we don't expose them, you know. The signs of God in us, as in Jesus, is the love, is the no judgment, is the compassion, is look at someone and see and give your hand. And Jesus did that, so you could see the signs of God on him, as we could see many, as I could see many of you. And Jesus replied, very truly I tell you, no one can see the kingdom of God unless they are born again. And just reminded that Nicodemus know the law of the Hebrews, you know, like the Jewish people. And then he just asked, how can someone be born when they are old? Surely they cannot enter a second time into their mother's womb to be born? And Jesus answered, very truly I tell you, no one can enter the kingdom of God unless they are born of water and the Spirit. Flesh gives birth to flesh, but the Spirit gives birth to the Spirit. You should not be surprised at my saying. Why Jesus told that Nicodemus? Because Nicodemus studied the law, and he know, because that is way back on the Jewish people. You must be born again. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. Oh, there is the Portuguese part there. But anyways, that's my comment. That shouldn't be there. But anyways, this part of the Bible brings a lot of discussion. You know, that really depends of how the way you practice your faith. You have the Catholics, the Protestants, and many other religions, you know. So I don't want to offend any of them, because there is beauty in all. As Jesus also said, there is many houses on my Father's kingdom. Wasn't that words, but something like that, you know. So there are different paths to get to the perfection in God's kingdom. Maybe on this life, I found myself in the Spiritism to connect with God. But for someone else, maybe it's Catholicism, that the way that he connects better with God in practice his faith and his love and whatever he needs to practice and put in practice and put like work on this life, you know. But what that means, many religions use that born with water and the Spirit at the baptism. Catholics, you baptize your kids as babies. You just put water, you know, on their heads. On Protestants, you have to choose that once you're mature enough to accept Jesus and then reborn for water. So you usually go to a river or a pool, and then they just submerge you. You just go for a swim, come back, and you're baptized. So you're born again on water. So they use that as they guide their faith on that way, on a very simple way. You know, it's a bit more complex, but we're not here to discuss that. But on the Spiritism, why we could interpret that? When Jesus says you are born from water, is the water, when you're in your mom's belly, you are surrounded by what on the womb? Water. So you need to come back to that water to be born again. Is on a very simple and practical way. And born in the Spirit is you come back to the spiritual world, learn, do whatever you need to do over there, come back, born again from water, inside your womb, and even your mom's womb, and born again. So on a very simple way, because I don't want to go too, on the complexity of words in here, is that what Jesus brings to us? So, and then Nicodemus is still asking God, but how can this be? And then Jesus just told him, you are Israel teacher. So he knew about the laws of Israel. And you do not understand these things? Like I'm saying to you on a very simple way, how you can understand that. Very truly, I tell you, I speak of what we know and we testify what we have seen, but you people do not accept our testimony. So Jesus was telling him, look, you know the law. I'm telling you things that I know, that I've seen, and you still not believe me? So Jesus is still saying that for us every day. Look, I'm here. I'm telling you the true love of God. Our many lives, our many opportunities, and you still do not believe me? So the invitation tonight is, hey, let's go believe in Jesus. I think he knows the ways, because he just said that no one's gonna get to the Father if not through him. So if we don't follow Jesus' steps, it would be harder for us to achieve this kingdom, to achieve this perfection as the Spirit. And I'm not praying Jesus just as a, oh, just follow Jesus as it is, because Jesus is this pure love as God gave him to us, so we could have a model. And all Jesus' teachings can be applied to any philosophy that you would like to follow. Catholics, Protestants, even people that don't believe in God. If they act as Jesus act, they are true Christians and they're doing good. You know, even if you don't believe in God, but you are truly respecting someone, doing your work, being good on, I mean, that do what is part of you in the society, you know, you're a true Christian, even if you don't believe it. And it's okay for God for that. He just wants us to progress, to pass this game and level up. All right. Oh, good to know. Any comments? Any comments over there? So my time is almost up. Even pretty much just I speak today and I lost a little part of my pen. But anyways, and just a quick overall about reincarnation again, why many religions don't believe and don't accept reincarnation. Then we have to go back in history. As you know, the Bible as it is was made by men, you know. What was on the past as Israel people, the teachings was passed orally, you know, and back then writing and paper was very expensive, so all the teachings was passed through the teachings, like Nicodemus and all the others that know the law, study the law, and then pass it on for the population. Anyways, the Bible itself took few centuries to be molded as we know, because the knowledge of the people wasn't divided by chapters and, you know, parts as we know in the Bible. You know, they have to configure that on a way that we could read and understand and study. Long story short, on the Constantinople meeting, I think was the fourth meeting trying to put together the teachings and all about Jesus and God. On the Constantinople concile in English, how do you say? Concile of Constantinople on the year of 553, the church decreed, because reincarnation, not with this word, was known to the people, they decided to take out. Why? Because by then the emperor had a lot of power, the same as the Pope, because they understand a lot of as well, because they had the opportunity to choose that. But then there was a bit of conflict, because people, we start to believe in things and ask them for it. And then there is a part of history says that Justino, that was the emperor by then, has a wife, Theodora, and he used to say, what's the best word for, I don't want to use that word, for women that sell the body for money. I just remember one word in English now, but I don't want to use it. Prostitute, better. I was thinking the other one that is not so nice. But say the history, not me, the books, that, well, she was a prostitute, but she wasn't that, you know, proud of it. But the other priesthood on the city was very proud of her, because she was the one, you know, who made it up there. So they were really proud of who she was and what she achieved, because she was the wife of the emperor. But that brings a lot of shame on Theodora. And then she used that, you know, because she was a woman with a lot of power towards her husband and the political scenario, that area. And then there was a lot of other conflicts on that sense. And she asked them to kill all the prostitutes of the city, more than 500 prostitutes. And then the population was really mad at her and was saying that she would have died she would have to die 500 times on the next life so she could pay for her karma. So she was really upset about the pressure of the population, plus other very complex scenarios inside of church about creation, reincarnation, and other topics. Then they decided to take that from the Bible because the emperor had a lot of, a lot of power inside of the church. So that's just a little bit fun fact, not so fun, but about how that reincarnation wasn't considering more inside of the church, and through history, was teaching that it doesn't exist. But there is way more curiosities about that, about how other beliefs and things that were removed from the Bible itself. But that is just, I thought was like not a fun fact, but a very curious, how like someone's act could change something, history, for many millions of people that comes after her. Yeah? Self-interested, Theodora Justine. If you just Google Constantinople Concile, 553 was the last one, as far as I remember, that kind of rap Bible as we know. And there is a lot of talk about monotheism and Origenes, about the origin of us, and things that they thought would be interesting to keep it, or interested to take it, or interested to just change a little bit to mold. I'm not saying the Bible is not true, there is a lot of truth in the Bible, but we need to have careful when we read information over there and understand it's not a book as you just read as it is. It's a lot of history there. It's not someone that just takes centuries to those laws and knowledge that pass it on from generations to put right down on paper, and a lot of things about translation, about articles and little things that if you put on a wrong position, you could have a different interpretation. So the Bible is true. Everything that is at the essence, thank you, is there. We just have to read with love and care, to read in between the lines and go and research. There's a lot of books over there. I have a book myself just about translations on Bible that explain the history, but it's like a 20 pages just about that, just about reincarnation, about the translation from Hebrew to Greek, and then they change the way that they write down, because the Hebrew population, they don't use vowels, just consonants, to save papiro by the time, because it was too expensive. So it's a lot of complex history, but it's really fun to go behind. But I'm just trying to bring a interesting fact that goes beyond just like faith, but about self-interest of one person that may change a lot of things on the Bible and interpretation, in other words. So that is the message for tonight. So life does go on, and we have many corporeal lives, experience to go through, to learn, and that is the beauty. And for me, as I say before, is the present, one of the best presents, one of the greatest acts of love from God towards us. So we could learn, we could achieve, we could understand that everything that we do have consequences. But He's not gonna judge us for the eternity, for hell or heaven, as main concept that we have. But He's gonna show us, as you show a child of 3 years old, look, try not to break this glass anymore, because the little pieces can hurt you, or could hurt someone else. It's just like us. God always look at us and say, look, careful with that action of yours. You could break, you could get hurt, you could hurt someone. Let's clean this up. Let's try again. Let's hold with your two hands. Try to walk slowly towards that, so you're not gonna, fall. It's in a very simple way, but I think it's the same message that God gave us. So the life does goes on, and we are eternal spirits on this journey, on this little game, to learn, progress with each other and get there with Father. All right, so that's it for tonight. Anyone would like to comment something?
Can I include?
Just speak a little bit so I can say a bit more. Turn off my microphone.
Hello?
Wait. How do I do that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just trying to. How do I make this bigger? You could put me on mute if you wish.
How do you do that?
I don't know. I'm terrible with computers. Sorry. He's my IT guy. Just unmute me. Mute me. Easy.
Ele tá te ouvindo.
Jackson.
Ah,
Go.
hello? Yeah. No, this one more thing is that the reincarnation not just give us the consolation that the life doesn't finish when we die. So we just finish one little blink of an eye, but also we can recognize in several aspects the compassion of God with us. When we reincarnate, we forget our previous lives. When we are during the reincarnation, we are not aware, consciously aware of what we were, what we did, or what we are there for. So it's embedded in our spirit, and this is part of the compassion of God. It's giving us the chance to repair or to evolve or to go to perfection 1, 2, 20, 200, 2 million times if necessary. And yeah, so the life goes on and the compassion is infinite from God in regards to our evolution, in regards to our our way towards perfection.
Can I say something? So first of all, I would like to thank Dai for bringing this topic in such a kind way and soft way, because this is a topic that sometimes even in our spiritist community is approached in a way that is more about the reincarnation being it is an opportunity, but being more like you come here because you have to repair, and be not, I don't want to use punishment, but they use a lot. And also even the text we just read that talks about expiations, which is kind of punishment, right? So it can be approached this way, and you didn't, so thank you. But my point is around that, because you didn't, but as I said, many readings, many articles and sometimes people can come across to this topic being approached this way. And so my question initially that I want to make was about the child, your child circumstance, your child scenario, that scenario you put on first. So my question would be, if you have a child that had done something something considerate socially or even morally wrong in your environment, and maybe that was more than breaking a glass, then maybe that was something more serious with harder consequences. But if you talk to this child and you explain things to that child, and you truly can believe that this child understood, you can believe that she understood. You believe for some reason, you know that she understood or he understood. Would you go on and punish? Let's say that in our society, that particular thing was due to be punished, because that's how we kind of live. Like even the timeouts were punishment. Timeouts are punishment too. Would you go on and apply that, usual common punishment if you could understand, if you would believe that that child understood it? That is my question. Because that is the point here in our life as well, is understanding the consequence of what we do. And maybe sometimes we have to face consequences to understand, but not always. Sometimes, and at some levels of consciousness, we start understanding things as we download from God. You understand because we just are ready to understand that message coming through our intuitions. So when we do that, and we are, thanks God, the earth is going through this phase now, the need to go through expiations to learn lessons does not really apply always. So with that, I can say that the reincarnation becomes an opportunity to really do what you said, is just experience different lives, different ways to love, different ways to be compassionate, different ways to be generous. And now it's just about that beautiful picture you put it there, and not much about coming to repair. And then once we are satisfied that we have, and when I say we, I say the universe, because we are all one. So when we not synchronize, but when we with the universe are satisfied that we are ready, we have learned these lessons here, we have learned what we could here about God and about the love of God, then we can move on. Then we don't need to incarnate here anymore. So I see incarnations as a beautiful thing now, not only for the opportunity to, what was to repair, but to experience different ways of God's love. And yeah, that's what I feel like to put here.
Yes, experience is the word. Experience is the word, is how we learn. Child, sometimes they don't have even the neurological connections to understand complex stuff. So yeah, they learn at a certain level, but a human being, as you said, we learn through experience. We experience the life, and the compassion of God is on the opportunities, are in the opportunities He gave us, or the opportunities when you link with each other, we are with each other, and you leave the situation, and then this adds to our experience, and that's where and that's when we grow, and this is when you grow in love with God.
Can I add to this story? It is a beautiful topic. Thank you, Dai, and to you all. There is a beautiful story that I have mentioned maybe before, the story of a man nicknamed Billy Fingers. And he contacted, after his troubled life, contacted his sister, who was still here, saying, I lived a troubled life. I was a maniac. I did drugs, and I knew it was for me an opportunity to come back to this world to experience the life of someone who is destitute. Because I, in the spirit world, had never experienced the idea of compassion for those that were maniacal, that were subject to being addicted to drugs and to alcohol. And so it was that he communicated to his sister that he was flying high. He was living well in the spirit realm, not because of what he paid dues for, which is what Giselle is speaking about, but because he, of his own volition, because of the plan that he wanted for expanding compassion in the spirit world as well, to live the life in the form of someone who was so troubled, so that there was greater compassion in the spirit realm, so that there was greater understanding, so that his experience would assist him in his spiritual journey, but to assist all those that supported him whilst he was on earth. Yes. So this idea of progression and our idea and our being consumed by this idea of we need to progress, we need to go further, we need it. It consumes our everyday, and it sits us almost in a sense of guilt because we haven't progressed as we expect, or they haven't progressed as we would expect, or he is reincarnated because he is paying off dues. This is folly, because we are not to understand the processes so much as to celebrate the process. Celebrate our opportunity to be in this life in this form. And so it is that so many pat me on the head and say, "Oh, you poor soul." Instead, I pray and uplift them in their journey and say, it's all good. It's all good. We are all in it for love. And how we are drawn to love is in its own way very peculiar or particular to each of us. But in the end, we are drawn to love. And with love, there is no judgment and no assessment of where we are on the spiritual journey. We just are. And this is the magnificent nature of what we are as beings. Whether spiritual beings or human beings, we are celebrating and here to celebrate, not to condition ourselves to thinking that we need to be in a particular place to be worthy of countenance with God. God, which is all things. God, which is without definition. Yes, yes. Does that make sense?
It does. I think it's just brings more what we discussed here tonight. So thank you all. But just trying to maybe one thing that I remember when G say about the consequences when you truly believe when someone made a mistake and say truly sorry, comprehend what had done wrong, but you still have consequences for that. But I just remind me something funny that usually parents say, like when they're punishing on the, when they're explaining the consequences of your ex, that is, they say, well, that hurts more than me than you, and one day you will understand that. And I think it's just like it is like God is always there for us to give us love because we are surrounded by God. There is no way out of God. We are in God. And everything that we experience is, as Colinda says, it's just beautiful. It's just part of the journey. As I say, it's just a game. We're here just playing, learning, love, and keep going on. Because it is what we are created for. We are creatures of God, a Father of eternal love, And I think that is beautiful. And reincarnation, it is a great gift for us, you know, so we could live on many forms and experience a lot of things, and be together and learn together and just enjoy the ride. You know, just as Colleen said, don't freak out about the levels of the game. It is what it is. We progress because it's part. But enjoy the ride as you can on this life. Do what you can on your family. That is your first people that we act as we are co-workers, So your family, the people you're surrounded, it's part of your journey. So get on the bus and enjoy the ride. And that's it for tonight. All right. So I'm just gonna finish with the prayer. And yeah, and then after prayer, we're gonna have our healing passes over there. So I just would like to invite everyone to one more time, sit comfortably on your chair, take a deep breath in, and feel this energy as we are surrounded by love. First of all, the love of God, as we are immersed on His love, as a fish is in the ocean. We are swimming on His love and His creation. So thank you, God, for that. Thank you for your love and the opportunity to right now we are here incarnated to experience and to chat about that. We are grateful as well to be surrounded by friends from the spiritual realm. They are here to give us the support that we need, to share their knowledge, to share their love. We are grateful for you. We are very grateful as well for other friends that are here from the spiritual world as well, just as us, here to listen and to learn. We are on this journey together, and we are grateful for you and for your life, as we all live one life on the spiritual world. And right now, we are just on a different little stage, incarnated. But we feel you, and we are grateful for your presence. Thank you. And with this feeling of love that this room is surrounded by, we would like to share this love for those that the names are in the prayer box. For those that right now we might be separate physically, but not in the spirit. Because there is no separation in love, in gratitude. So we are emanate our love, our goodwill, our wishes towards them. You know the people that you would like to reach. So just think about them. Send them little flowers that are packed with energy, with love, with joy, with forgiveness, with patience, with compassion, with empathy. And if you have to say sorry, say it. I am sorry. Forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And if you have to forgive, just forgive it. Let it go. Let's not carry that burden. Let's not make our journey heavy. Let it go, that package. I know sometimes it hurts, but it's okay. It will pass. Just let it go. You're gonna feel that the journey will be lighter, easy. Let's just follow the steps of Jesus. He promised us that we need to be born again to experience through water and spirit. And right now, we are here experience that. So we are grateful for this journey, Jesus. And we look at you as our example and model. Thank you for that. And with this feeling in our hearts, those little flowers are traveling all around the world. Here in Australia, Brisbane, Brazil. Every little corner, that flower will find the person that you are now visualizing. And that flower have God's love. Is a little drop of hope in everyone's heart. So maybe the cure are happening, the healing are happening, the forgiving are happening right now with this flower that just found the person that you were thinking about it. And we are grateful. So thank you for all our friends here that is helping, they are helping us on this work tonight. Thank you, our mentors that help us on this journey right now on earth with your wisdom, with your consoling. Thank you for that. So be it. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Hope to see you next week. As you know, we are back on a physical place. As we are now incarnated, we are doing those meetings on a physical place, but I welcome all our spiritual friends as well that wish to come here and join us. So I see you next week. For those that are not able, we're gonna have Zoom next week as well. Thank you so much for helping me on this journey. And that's it. So see you next week, and I see you guys over there. All right.